Night falls on Japan. Players battle for greatness. You will love this game. Welcome to Yedo. This is an absolute treat of a game. It's most favourably compared to Lords of the Waterdeep. Please see our other review about there. But this game just really steps everything up another notch, if not 2 or 3 or 4. It is wonderful depth of strategy. It is gorgeous to look at. And there is so much detail, so much extra activities here, so much more strategy that you can basically delve into and enjoy and explore. This is a stunning game. So what is Yedo all about? Well, the idea is, of course, welcome to Tokyo, also known as Edo or traditionally Yedo. The idea is that you are one of several noble families, as you can see down here, who are basically vying for control of the capital. Now, to do this, you're basically placing out your workers. Yes, it's a worker placement game. It's a brilliant worker placement game. And you are basically trying to scheme and machinate and do all sorts of amazing things to accomplish missions, get prestige points, honor victory points, and win the game to be the most important person in the whole of Japan. Yes, this is a great game. Okay, so there is so much to get into here because imagine like Lords of Waterdeep, basically each section has a different effect. Well, even within each section, there are multiple different effects that you can enjoy and explore. There is so much more to behold. So, simple approach, the components are absolutely gorgeous. The strategy is very, very deep. You're always accomplishing something each round, which is a real bonus. There is a slight range of analysis paralysis, which might happen because there is so much to choose from. But overall, you can play this game again and again and do it slightly different ways. Different numbers of players, it plays very, very differently. More experienced players, younger players, plays very, very differently. So there is a huge amount to get into and enjoy. We picked up this game after about like a year of searching it for a good price. We know there is a new version available with all sorts of extra fancy bells and whistles. However, this is the classic edition. This is where it all began, and it is a triumph of a game. So, what we're going to do is basically have a look around the board, we're going to explore, we're going to play, we're going to see what's good, we're going to basically try and have a better idea about whether this could be a game for you. All right then, let's get started. Okay, so the game is designed by Thomas van der Ginster and Wolf Planche. Now, in terms of what it basically lays out, there are several different areas in which you can basically place your people, gather more, and have different effects. All this built into your long-term strategy of completing missions. That is your main way of winning this game. If you go around the board looking for different things, there's lots to do, really. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. So, the missions themselves range from easy through to ridiculously hard, and you basically start with a number of these at the beginning of the game, which is very, very good because it gives you a number of different options to try. Okay. What else do you start with? Well, depending on how many people start, you might start with some of your people, but of course you can get more, and we know how important that is in worker placement games. A really interesting part of Yedo is at the beginning of each round, there is a bidding element, which gives you extra little advantages that you can pay for and basically help you on the roads to greatness. Now, of course, a lot of these other options are available during the actual board themselves, but they are more expensive. So depending on how well you get on with the other players, vying for competition, there is an easy way to get a little bit of advantage in different areas. And the great way of playing this is that no two games are necessarily the same. So for example, on one way, geishas is the way to go, another way rooms, another way weapons. So how does it all work? The idea is that, for example, you're trying to complete a certain mission, okay? Beautiful flavor text. You don't have to rely on the flavor text, you can read without it. However, if you do, it adds another layer to the game. You might accompany Daimyo Takeshi on his visit to the Emperor. To do so, you will need to have your people in a certain number of places. You may need certain weapons to accomplish this. You may basically either have certain rooms that are available, or certain items, or certain extra effects. So, for example, this is a yellow mission, which is basically not easy, but not massively difficult. So to do this, you would have to have a person in the Gates district, okay? You would have to have a sword in your possession. You might basically have to have, here we are, a dojo. And I say might, because these have a really interesting element of, there is the core mission value that you can complete, But there's a bonus element as well. And if you do the bonus element as well, it opens a possibility for more points, more money, more rewards, okay? So let's imagine you just did the base reward. Okay, that's fine. So all you'd have to do is have a person here and you'd need to activate them to fulfill this mission. So you couldn't also use this same piece to do the other effects on this board as well. So it's a bit of a competition there. Now you basically have to have your weapon, a sword. Fantastic, absolutely great. Do you need that same sword in other missions? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, because there's lots of other weapons as well. So you might need to basically go to the market here and buy different weapons. Of course, you can only hold on to 4 at a time. So this means there'll be a certain amount of give and change. And if you meet up in the same location as another player, you are indeed encouraged and allowed to trade weapons and things between yourselves. In other words, depending on what you might have at a certain moment, you might be able to do a little bit of negotiation, shall we say, to help each other on. Now, this game can run to the most part off its own engine, means that you can mainly do your own things other than competition with the other players. There's not that much element of basically people being out to get each other. There are certain cards that encourage that, yes, but it's not a colossal part of the game. So if that's a worry for you at all, don't feel too bad. This won't disrupt you too much. And of course, you can play a very, very sociable, very, very amiable, agreeable game if that's your choice. If you want more competition, then you can play it that way as well. All right, so what else might you have to give you advantages? Well, there are certain action cards. For example, it basically may stop or help people going in certain places. It basically make people arraign arrest. It could be worth more money. It could basically have extra weapons. So these are little one-off things that can help you, okay? What else? You have goals. Now these goals, basically, these bonus cards, give you end of the game victory conditions that you can work towards. You can hold a couple of these at a time, so not too many conflicting ideas, but these will again help to develop your longer term strategy. What else? Weapons, as we have mentioned. Weapons are a very, very key element in most of the missions. So depending on what you have, you can have 4 at a time, there may be a certain amount of exchanging and swapping involved. Okay, after that. Rooms. Well, you can build extra rooms in your own particular pagoda of joy. You could basically have tea rooms. You can have ornamental gardens. You can have training halls, weapons, dojos, etc. Each of these can basically be played on your playing mat. And then you can basically place one of your people on there as another active space. Now, depending whether you basically put them on there or they just have them in general or complete missions with them, there are different effects. Some might give you a little bit of trickling of money each turn. Some basically make the weapons cheaper. You could use these instead of blessings or other things or geishas. Now, what else isn't interested? Here, as I've said, in the temple district, you can collect blessings. Now, you can only hold one of these at a time, and you might need to either have these or trade them in for certain missions. So basically that's a very, very limited resource. What else? Geisha, entertainers. Some of your missions require 1, a very rare amount require 2 to have. So this is another component you might need to collect. It's also worth saying that both of these give you bonus points to collect because they're harder to get hold of. Of course, you can always collect more missions. So, bearing that in mind, most of the activities that you can do here, you can replicate on the board. So for example, you can go to the weapon district, but also you could maybe sell off a car that you're not using for a little bit of money. You go to the entertainment district and you could buy more cards or indeed buy more geisha, hire more geisha. You could go to the Harbour District, where basically quite charmingly, in the middle of the Yedo Japan era, there's a small but robust Catholic church encouraging people to join the Catholic faith, as you do in this part of historical history. And if you do, you can basically collect the temple treasury. That's delightful. And it's another of the rare opportunities to get a little bit more money during the game. You can also basically cash in your money for victory points. Very important later on in the game. You can also basically rearrange the next few cards if you so desire. You can go to a tea house. At the tea house, you can rearrange the weapons as you so desire, or you can buy rooms for much more expensive amounts. It's fine, it's okay. In the Gates District, you can rearrange the action cards, or you can do the reverse of the Harbour District, in which case you can give up victory points to get more coins. Now, money is going to be a big element in this game, because at the beginning of the game, you do not have a lot of money. You don't, okay? And as you are bidding on different advantages each turn, the money does go away very, very fast. Later on in the game, and this is one of the maybe only a few minor criticisms of the game, you do tend to get a glut of money because you're completing valuable missions very, very well and get it with money, money, money each turn. Now, there's not much you can do with that other than go to the harbour and sell it off for victory points, but there's a limited amount of times you can do that each turn, especially with more players. So you might end up at the end of the game with a stack of cash left over that doesn't really do any good whatsoever because money doesn't count towards victory points at the end of the game. Okay. Other than that, there is a Palace District here where you can basically steal first place or even second place or even third place. You can gain a solitary victory point, or you can basically just collect the next quest off the pile. Finished yet? No, there's more! Okay, so as well as that, there is the Night Watchman. Now, the Night Watchman is basically travelling around all the districts, and each round, he basically will arrest anybody who he finds hiding there, being not where they're supposed to be. So say, for example, if he is currently going to go to the tea house this turn, and you have placed a person in the tea house, guess what? You're not going to be able to use them at all, because unfortunately they're going to be arrested and sent back, and you're going to have to buy them all over again. Oh, that's not good. So, what could you do? Well, there's various action cards that let you basically move them on bump and replace them, all the rest of it. Also, each game, with a random flip of a coin, where are we? Random flip of a coin, you basically determine whether they're going to be moving one direction or the other direction. So even each game could be moving differently. Okay, you can also reverse the direction, etc., etc., etc. So it's another element which games can become fresh. Okay, let's look at this absolutely beautiful board of Yedo. While I remember, please like, please subscribe, please follow us. We really do value your support and we'd love to have more people on for this ride. Yes, 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 please. Right, that said, let's look at the board. Now, the first thing that you notice when you see this is this kind of like radial aspect, this wheel-like nature to the board. There are definitely clear areas for progression in terms of the options available in each section. So I'll quickly go around and give you the details of each one, and we'll go from there. At the top here, you basically have the player order. Now, this is, as ever with any worker placement game, a massively important feature. And over here, as you can see, there are different areas where you can steal a certain number of places. With other games, for example, there might be an option of stealing first place. However, there's also second place and third place open for available for a different number of games. It is worth saying that it's provided with several different little chits that you can basically put over different options if you're playing with a fewer number of players, and there's plenty for there. So, player order. Each turn you bid for your different special resources. If you want an action card or basically a bonus card, they'll cost you a minimum of 3. And I say minimum because one person might go, well, I bid 3. Well, I want that one, I'm going to bid 4. All right, 5. All right, fine, you have 5. So basically, this is kind of an auction mechanic. Usually you'll be able to negotiate the players fairly well, that it won't be too much of a trouble, but depending on how competitive you're feeling, you might wish to drive the price up just for fun. So, weapons and bonus cards and action cards, what happens is you take the top 3, look through them, choose the one you want, and basically discard the other 2. So, for example, 4 victory points at the end of the game if you completed all your missions, 1 for every 2 completed missions, 4 if you've not completed any theft missions. Now, it's worth saying that there are 5 types of missions corresponding to the people on the lovely, lovely card. You have kidnapping missions, you have basically theft, you've got warfare, assassination, and espionage, depending on the different characters. So, one of the most deadly missions in the game, you could kill the daimyo. This would be worth a colossal amount of money, called mon, and victory points and all sorts. You would need a huge amount of stuff and lots of people to make it happen. Look what you need for this mission. It's ridiculous, but you'll get a huge amount of rewards for it. Now compare this to the levels down here, where you basically just need to get the minimum amount possible in order to score usually some money and the occasional victory point. There's not much going on here. For example, you'd have to have someone in the tea house and a shuriken, and you get a victory point and 6 money. Oh, if you had some rope as well, you can get 8 more mon. Fine, okay. Simple rewards, simple missions, but it does scale up nicely. At the beginning of the game, each person basically has to choose 4 mission cards, and at least one of those has to be a red or a black. So altogether, there is already kind of a difficulty scale when you start the game. Well, what else? These individual little buildings sort of annexes that you can add to your player board are fantastic. They do give you kind of several rolling effects. For example, the yashiki, the tea house, will basically give you, well, you can put a person here to basically swap mission. So you basically get rid of a mission that you don't want and you can choose a mission instead, fine. Also, you can basically place the person here to count as a geisha, an entertainer. If you haven't got one person you collected, that's another way of doing it really. The Karasunsui, the garden, you can basically shuffle the top 3 of one of the decks and basically rearrange them the way you want, or you can place it as a blessing instead of going to the temple district. These are a little bit harder to get to, and also they cost quite a lot more, so that might be a different way you want to do things. Dojos and Kabuto Ryus, these are really good. We kind of favour these ones. Every single turn, if you have a dojo, you get 1 mon from the bank. So it's basically a little trickle of money all the time. Very useful, very worth getting early on in the game. Obviously later in the game, less powerful because you've got so much money rolling around, it's not so much of an issue. You can basically swap weapons in here. You can discard a weapon, draw a new one, fine. The Kabuto Ryu, you can swap action cards with this if you want to, but the best, well, personally the way that we tend to play, the best effect is it makes all the weapons in the market 3 mon cheaper. That is a huge bonus, especially early on the game when money is scarce. You can basically go to your area here, your residence, and basically bid for more people. That costs a minimum of 3, as do the quests here. And again, you choose the top 3 and take the one that you want. It's always worth to have more players in a worker placement game, always. But depending upon how you want to go about this, you might be able to choose to grab a couple of other things first that might affect your longer term strategy, especially if people are driving up the prices. Okay, so we have the market here. In here, there are basically 5 weapons available, 2 valued at 6, 3 valued at 8, and each turn these kind of get discarded and shuffled down and more get dealt out. So it's basically kind of a grab it while you can, and there are certain options for paying it cheaper, especially if you have the Kabuto Ryu. Yes. The Temple District, you can basically do a bit of a rearranging of the quests or of the daily effects, well, daily effects. And most important thing is to get a blessing, which are special tokens that count towards some of your quests and are very, very valuable. Some quests actually require you to give a blessing back, and again, you can only hold 1 at a time. What else? The district here is kind of like more the prestige district, basically the castle district, should we say, where you can basically just take the top quest off a certain deck, or just get a point, or basically vie for turn order. A lot of the quests do require you to basically be in this area, which is good because it's kind of like a standard point. If you've got nothing better to do, that's always worth a good place to go, just to basically keep your options open, or just trickle forward wherever you can do. The Gates District, I must admit, we don't tend to use very, very much. Its main function, other than basically completing quests, is paying for extra people at rather extended prices, or basically trading points off for money. That's usually only done in extremis. You usually want to go the other direction, especially towards the end of the game. But it can be very useful, especially if you want to pick up some more people. Tea House, the function is basically to buy more annexes at a very expensive increased price, or basically just to rearrange the weapons, because again, certain times you're waiting for a weapon and you can't complete a quest until you've got, for example, a rope or poisoned eggs or whatever, so you're waiting around for a long while. The Harbour District. The Harbour District is great fun. This is a hugely important area to go to, partly because you can basically collect the temple treasury again and again and again. The beginning of the game, it is very hard to get cash. That's definitely worth remembering. Or you can basically trade off money for points, and this is used massively towards the end of the game when you've got a pile of mon sitting there that you can't do anything with points-wise. Finally, the Red Light District, Entertainment District, you can pick up geisha, and you can basically get more action cards. The main way that we've used these, just from the first couple of times we've played it, is to avoid getting arrested by the Night Watchman. There are a load of other effects in there, we just haven't seen as many of them. I think the second time we played, there was things like collect extra weapons, get certain things, get bonuses, search the discard pile. That was great. The first time we played it was mainly all about avoiding these guys and not getting arrested. Speaking of which, at the beginning of the game, you are given a certain little advantage. You get to basically have one of these 5 advantage cards that you can cash in for a one-time benefit, if you so choose, to help you get away, or you can basically use to save your people from being arrested.
So this is generally kind of like a hang on to it, see if it's useful, or get an early advantage if it's definitely worthwhile. You get a couple of points hanging on to these at the end of the game, but it's not massive amount. Now, what really throws a spanner into the works are these, which is basically the event deck. This basically changes each turn and ranges from certain places being out of order, which is where you have the sort of barred space marker here. So for example, if you can't go to the Harbour District, you'd have to cover it up and no one can go there that turn. But this can really sort of put a monkey in the wrench. For example, every weapon is reduced by 2 mon, so people flood towards the market. No player may visit the Shogun this round to complete a prestige point. That's going here. Where else? Chaos! If possible, each player must discard one uncompleted mission card of his choice and place it face down on the mission card deck of its colour. Then shuffle all the mission decks. There's all sorts of stuff going on here, and it can really, really sway the turn. So this, more than anything else, encourages replayability in your game. And this will be as much a challenge as the other players sometimes, especially if you've delicately balanced things to end up just the way you want.
So, depth of options, multiple options, complementary strategies, different varying effects, lots and lots and lots of scope for all sorts of mayhem play. This is a wonderful game. It cannot be taken lightly, but let's just see whether you think it's right for you with some final thoughts. So, what do we think? Should you buy this game right now? Yes, of course you should. Okay, so final thoughts on Yedo. Wow, I mean, this is an incredible game. Having played this 2 or 3 times previously, I knew that basically sooner or later I would definitely want to buy it. Because I've got a family with sort of 2 youngish children, I wanted to make sure that if we did buy it, they were going to be an age where they could actually play and appreciate it, because this game cannot be taken lightly. We love Lords of Waterdeep. It's great. This game goes very, very beyond there into much deeper strategy. So for younger children, this game is pretty much off the table. For older children and adults with a bit of suitable help, yes, of course, go for it. It will consume your entire evening. Myself and my wife, we've played this and we've not got it under 2 hours. Literally, it's a huge, 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 huge game. You will have loads of fun with it, and you'll basically feel that along the way you are achieving different things, building up things. Each game will feel a little bit different, depending upon how much you are trolled by the different events of each turn, which can be very, very, very harsh or quite forgiving. This will, of course, limit your strategy. It might even wreck things or force you to restart your ideas, but you will generally do very, very well the more you play. It's a game where you kind of think you couldn't just pick it up as a moment's notice. You basically have to kind of lay it out, right, we are playing Yedo, so I'm cool with that, yeah, that's great, fantastic, great. So we're going to basically plan it this time, we're going to have drinks and snacks the rest of it, and we're going to play the game. So there is lots here that you think, right, am I using it to the best advantage? Do I need to do this now? Can I do this later? What's my priorities? Is it urgent that I do this now? Oh, no, I feel I'm getting behind with that. Oh, no, that's worked brilliantly. So you'll be constantly re-examining how well you're doing, and that's okay. It's all right to play that way. You do want to be aware of analysis paralysis, because if you get a little bit stuck and if you think either on this turn, based on what's out there, there's nothing I can do, or if you're playing with people who are kind of wrapped with indecision, that will be a major element in this game, and that could turn a 2-hour game into a 2.5-hour game. So please be careful about that. In terms of what it gives you, though, this game is so rewarding in terms of total immersion. I mean, the artwork is gorgeous. The components, really good quality. Only slight quibble we might have, the coins are a little bit thin. Yes, I know there's a deluxe version. Yes, I know the coins are best and wonderful. That's great. If you want to pay more than double the price, you might. You absolutely might. But this game stands gloriously on its own. So, what will this game look like when you go by? It'll either be kind of like furious determination when people are basically playing different things, or kind of pausing, reflecting, looking at the things, more speculative play, especially if people are kind of thinking, right, what do I absolutely need to do now? Not just in terms of this turn, but in terms of next turn and the turn after that, and how many turns are left? Oh my goodness, they're 3 points ahead of me. Yeah, okay, this is a great game. So If you like deep strategy, if you like beautiful artwork, if you're a fan of Japanese samurai technology and samurai theme, yes, this is a very, very good game for you to play. Will it take 2 or 3 plays before you think you've got the hang of it? Yes, it will, and that is fair because this game deserves repeated play. It is a game that you will invest time in, it is a game you will invest lots of thought in, but it is a game that you will have fantastic fun with. So, fantastic ideas. Yes, please do join this club, buy this game, play it with your friends, and have a great time. Okay, so thank you as ever for joining us. Please like, please subscribe, please follow us. We're really trying to get these numbers up. So if you want to get in contact, you can, as always, reach us at rogueartistcreations.com. You can find us on Facebook at Rogue Artist Creations. Our Twitter handle is at Rogue A Creations. And you can reach me, Andrew Prowse, at gmfirst@rogueartistcreations.com. Thank you very, very much for joining us for this lovely episode, and we will see you again soon. Thank you.